Hello, yes, we are live here from CES in Las Vegas, right here in 2018. This is Digital Trends, and we are covering extensively every single thing that's happening on the showroom floor and right here at the desk. Big moment here, the Top Tech Awards for Digital Trends. What I want to do before I introduce the panel here is tell you that we are live on Facebook and on YouTube. And those who have been joining us on YouTube pretty much all day, thank you. You have been amazing, and I am reading all the comments there. Any questions that you have, let me know, because I can ask them directly. And if you're on Facebook, hey, that's me. I already did the first comment. I'm that quick. So if you are wanting to do comments and questions, that's me there. Make sure you head over and get those questions out as well. So let's talk Top Tech Awards. To do that, I do have the Digital Trends Editor-in-Chief here, Jeff Kaplan. Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Jeff? Jeremy, come now.
I did. I said Jeff. I wrote Jeff on paper.
How many times have we talked?
It's the end of the day.
It's been a long day.
I'm pushing my luck here.
It's quite all right.
And it's like, what does happen at CES? Everything, including critical errors. That means I will never be on this show again.
It's only fair, though, because
Jeremy.
I've mispronounced your name at least 100 times.
I know, we've got this thing going where I can get away with anything because I have an accent. Is that true? We'll see. Jeremy, thank you so much for being back.
It's a pleasure. I like being on here with you. Thank you very much.
Jeff.
Good to be here.
You look like a Jeff, to be fair.
I could be Jeff.
Nick here, though. Nick, this is your first time at the table.
Yes, I've been hiding out in the press room up until this point.
I love it. Now you get an idea of what you've been missing out on this entire time, and I got your name right, Nick Mokey.
You got the Mokey right, which is rare.
Managing Editor of Digital Trends. What have you been up to at CES?
I've been making sure the trains run on time from the press room. And
okay.
I finally gnawed my leash, and I escaped, and here I am.
Hold on, when you say the press room, what's happening there?
Oh, there's a bunch of very bored journalists sitting around glued to laptops, and there's terrible coffee, but there's good Caesar salads.
That is an exclusive insight and tip right here from Digital Trends about CES. Good Caesar salad, good to hear it. So let's explain a little bit about what the Top Tech Awards are all about, because this is Digital Trends exclusive awards that they do every year at CES.
So yeah, we have 15 to 20 journalists running around the floor, exploring, looking at everything there is to see, and there's a lot to see. It's 2.6 million square feet, I believe. 2.4 or 2.6. I get my
54 football fields lined up.
Insane. Over 4,000 companies. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of product launches. And how do you cover the whole thing? Well, you can't. It's virtually impossible. But we do our best. So everyone scrambles to see as much as they can see. And then we all get together in a little room and hash it out. And their fisticuffs are thrown. And eventually we decide on what the best products are from the show.
This is pretty ambitious, right?
We do what we can.
And there's roughly 12 awards distributed. What are some of these awards? Are you looking for design, innovation, or is it set up in different segments?
It's all of the above. Yeah, we're looking for a variety of different things that win. We have, of course, some traditional categories that we look at, such as computing, laptops, mobile devices, smart home devices. We also have some very general categories for emerging technology, cool tech, as we call it, because there is so much stuff here, right? There's just a slew of crazy, weird things.
Yeah, we have a couple of cool tech awards that are set aside for things that just don't fit into any other category. So we have, established things like mobile and computing. The cool tech stuff can be anything, and there's a lot that defies categorization here.
I know that I was talking to Kim earlier this morning, who's been covering all the smart home stuff, and the winner was a mirror that you spoke into, and it was a smart mirror now. I think that's awesome. Some of the other winners that I've been talking about or have heard, Kate Spade, a wearable watch. That one got the Best Wearable Award, and in mobile, it's the Vivo Underglass Fingerprint. If you do want to know about all the winners, digitaltrends.com/CES, they're all up there, and you actually get to learn a lot about why they are the award winners. But let's talk about some of them from you guys and what it is about these technology and the products that has made it just a little bit better than the rest of them out there. And we can start with Dell with the XPS 13, I believe.
The XPS 13, yes. The XPS line has been a fantastic line. The XPS 13 product, the various versions of it that Dell has released over the years, has continually been a great product. This year, they've just announced the newest version of it, and it is great on another level. It continues a tradition of great products. A couple things we like about it. The chip is extra fast. It has a new color, which sounds silly, but is actually a big change for them and is a beautiful one. It's like a rose gold color.
We actually had Frank from Azos, is it? Azol?
Yep.
From Dell actually talk us through this intimately. We
familiar.
Saw it, we heard about it, yeah. We got that, and if you do want to check that out, it's on YouTube, and I believe it's on Facebook, so you got all those details, but you can see it, and it's worth seeing, because that is sleek and beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah, the Dell has been, the XPS 13, I think, has been 3 years running our pick for best laptop, and I think with this new one, it's definitely a good candidate to win that again.
Is that because it's incredid, Dell?
Oh, you didn't. You did.
Shouldn't have. I shouldn't have, but I did. I did. Oh, well.
Let's talk about our grand pick, the overall winner for Top Tech of CES.
What's that award called?
It's
Top Tech of CES.
Funny you ask. It's the Cyber Stag that we hand out. A bright blue, a Cyber Stag, of course, because Digital Trends headquartered in Portland, Oregon. A nice throwback, a callback to where we come from.
I had no idea.
And it's so much more fun than a block of lucite, right? Who wants a clear block of lucite like other people give it?
You got to watch your eyes around the Cyber Stag.
Have you seen Get Out? Anyway, so let's talk about the winner for that one. Who was it?
It was the NVIDIA Xavier chip, which sounds really boring, I know. The name is Xavier, I don't know where they got that from. But it is basically like they shrank a supercomputer into the size of a license plate. And what that's going to be used for in the years ahead is all of these car companies that are talking about self-driving cars and how we're going to be able to sit in the back seat and read magazines instead of driving. This is the technology that's going to power that. And we've heard a lot of claims at CES up to this point, but what really got us excited is that NVIDIA is delivering this quarter. So they are shipping this chip to car companies this quarter. Volkswagen is a partner, as well as Hyundai. Volkswagen is going to put it in, I don't know if you guys have seen the ID Buzz. It's kind of like an electric version of like your classic hippie bus. That is going to be powered by this NVIDIA chip.
Is it Volvo as well?
I don't think Volvo, Volkswagen.
Talking to Alex about it
Possible.
in DT Cars.
Alex would know better than I would.
know.
And I listened, and I made a joke about being a soccer driver in a Volvo because that's where I learned how to drive. But I do want to talk about the future of driving. A lot of chat about where cars is, especially at CES and in the future. And it was supposed to be the excitement about autonomous cars, but we're still, we weren't quite there yet. It was still more about electric cars because that was where we're at, with the technology. So you're saying that by 2019 CES, the NVIDIA chips is going to completely change the ballpark and make it like here and now?
I think we'll see prototypes by 2019. I don't know about I don't know that we'll actually see these on the road in 2019. But I think Volkswagen for the ID Buzz, I think that's a 2020 they're shooting for with that. So not terribly far off. And I think we'll see, before the ID Buzz, we'll see a lot of prototypes that come a lot sooner than that.
Let's get personal. What is your personal understanding and where do you sit with self-driving cars?
They're fantastic. We need them. We need them right now. I mean, in addition to the obvious benefits, they are life-saving things. There are millions of people killed in car crashes every year, and these will prevent that. Yes, of course. But beyond that, the idea alone is great. I don't want to be driving my car. Most of the time that we drive our car, we drive it on a highway, and it's boring driving. And all you're doing is you're not looking at anything. You're avoiding hitting other cars, right? I don't need to do that. If some computer can do that for me, I think that's fantastic.
Okay.
I'm still going to ride a bike. Look at me. I live in Portland. But I still look forward to self-driving cars because they will not kill me on a bicycle.
There we go.
I hope. I mean,
good point.
Find out.
I mean, I live in LA and traffic is my life. So who knows? Maybe one day. Let's talk about Sony. The X1 Plus, I believe, was a winner as well.
X1 processor.
Processor. I'm going to blame it on my accent again.
Plus.
But tell us about the Sony. What is this processor all about?
So this is a prototype TV, well, a processor that Sony had set up on a prototype TV that is basically making it one of the most blindingly bright TVs we've ever seen. So it achieves 10,000 nits of brightness, which, okay, that's a lot of jargon, but your typical TV is like 2,000, and a really bright TV is like 3,000. So Sony's hitting 10,000 nits of brightness with this thing. So as you watch it at the Sony booth, they have some effects like where something metallic will catch glare from the sun, and you actually squint at the TV because it achieves that much brightness. But the amazing part is you have that much brightness, but it's still, in the dark parts of the screen, it remains really good black levels, that's what the processor is doing that's so impressive.
Begs the question, just because it can, does it mean it should?
Do we want to squint at our TVs?
We have a president
impressive.
that looks at the eclipse, so...
It's impressive, and it addresses a real problem with TVs today. Yeah. We talk a lot about the various types of TVs. Of course, we love the OLED screens. OLEDs are an emissive technology, which means the screens are very, very bright, but OLEDs are very, very expensive. I mean, they've come down a lot, but they're still too pricey, which is why most people don't have them. Most people have LCD TVs, which are fairly dark. So any achievement, any technology that can fix that problem, which I think is what we have here, is going to be pretty important.
All right, so moving on, after the processor, we've got, now this is a name I can't really get my head around, so I'm not even going to attempt it. Let's talk about the next award.
The IOTA Trex.
Thank you.
It's the guy who invented the hoverboard.
Shane Chen, yes.
There we go. You know the hoverboard because you've seen a trillion of them that came out from a trillion different companies, but there is one guy who invented this thing.
He also invented the self-balancing unicycle.
Really?
Yeah, he did the original self-balancing unicycle, he did the hoverboard, the original one before all the duplicates that caught fire, and now he did the IOTA tracks.
What can't he do? So the IOTA tracks so hoverboard is a board with two wheels on either side, and this is taking those two wheels and putting them side by side. And then there's a platform on the side, little wings that fold down that you can step on. It has all of the advantages it has all the mobility of a single-wheeled thing, but with the stability of two wheels, which is, I think we have some video of it in action.
That's so cool.
Our emerging tech editor, Drew, took it for a ride and said it was a blast.
It's apparently like the size and weight of a six-pack, which, I mean, that makes it very portable. Like, you could take this on the subway with you.
Got a little grab handle.
That's so convenient.
It has 8 miles of range, which is pretty decent. I find it hard to imagine even sitting on that thing for 8 miles. I mean, it would take a considerable amount of skill, I think, to be on it for 8 miles straight. And I think they're selling it for $600 in February is the plan.
So it's affordable as well. I do wonder about this sort of technology. A lot of the times, when we saw the, what was that big one that they're doing? The Segway. The Segway. A lot of people shied away from it because you looked a little bit ridiculous using it.
Yes.
What's your take on this sort of technology? You've just lost your microphone too, Nick. Yeah. Would you use this, Jeremy?
The Segway does look ridiculous, which is why nobody bought it. It just felt like when Dean came and invented that, he thought he was inventing the hoverboard, and then the hoverboard came around. The hoverboard is too heavy and is kind of weird looking. This is actually, I've seen a bunch of people driving around on one wheels, and they look fairly normal. They just go fast and zip around. This is all of that in a much more stable package that's much lighter and much easier to carry around. I've tried taking my hoverboard out to the streets, and it weighs too much. This is lighter even than that.
I think the IOTA track looks cool because it takes skill to use it. Like the Segway is kind of like, it doesn't really take much. You can't mess that up. But the IOTA tracks is kind of like a skateboard or something. Like, it takes a little bit of skill, which makes it look cooler, I think.
I think it's also a matter of time until we see guys doing tricks and stunts on them, and then it's going to be amazing.
IOTA tracks in a half pipe.
So you would use it then?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, as a bike rider, you were saying, is this the thing that could, change the way that you get around?
It would it would work, I think, pretty well for my bike commute. I don't know, I'd have to develop my sense of balance a little bit, I think, but I would try it.
You heard it here first.
Got to start somewhere. Like we said, we are live for many reasons, that's obvious. But on Facebook as well as YouTube, you've been getting your comments in. Carlos Vega, who's watching on Facebook, says, I have to give the Stole the Show award to NVIDIA. So do you agree with that one?
Certainly.
We do, with CES, look for the wow moments instead of the, oh yeah, moments. What were your personal wow moments?
Not to harp on it, but the NVIDIA, for me, that was a wow moment. You said earlier that, that traditional car companies were saying off in the distance. That's exactly the experience and takeaway that I've had. Coming to CES in the past, it's been some guy at some big car company saying, yeah, we're working on this. We'll have this technology for you. A decade from now, we're going to put out a car that's going to drive itself. And then NVIDIA comes along and says, hey, you know what? We spent the past 3 years fixing that problem. Here's the chip. Make it happen. Which is very transformative. And suddenly something that was way off in the distance is actually next week.
I love that, yeah. A lot of the tech companies, they're all talk. This is what we're going to promise. This is what we're aiming for. This is what we're going to do. And NVIDIA said, yeah, talk, but we've actually just done it, and here it is.
Exactly.
That's what we want. What about you, Nick? Any favoritism happening?
Yeah, well, I know we gave the TV award to the Sony X1 processor, but I think my wow moment was actually at the LG booth. They have put together, they're calling it their OLED Canyon. It's basically, they took a bunch of their curved OLED screens and assembled it into 2 giant walls that you kind of walk through like a canyon. And of course, it changes graphics as you go through it. There's booming sound. It's kind of hot in there because of all the TVs. It is a sensory experience, and I mean, those LG OLED TVs look phenomenal, and when you have that many of them on that scale, there's just a wow factor there that's hard to match.
A lot of talk, obviously the wow, oops moment was the blackout that did occur in CES, and we had it for 90 minutes here yesterday, but people were saying that would be the worst place to be when the blackout struck, in a canyon. Oh, yeah. With televisions, not knowing where you were, because it was pitch black on the showroom floor there.
Well, you might have been able to just take one off the wall and leave the place with it.
I did tweet that. There was some theft at CES last year in the broad daylight, or unnatural light. What happens when the lights turn off? I'm interested to see what did happen in the aftermath for that.
The other funny ramification of that was here at CES, there are a lot of these lock boxes they have this year. It's like little containerized things that people use to charge their phones. And so it's got a lock on it, some digital lock, so that nobody walks off with your phone. You know, you plug your phone in, you leave it there for a half an hour or something, you come back and you get it. Power goes out, oops, your phone is locked in there permanently. Which, of course, isn't crippling, but for some of us, it feels like all of a sudden it is, this is the debilitating moment. I'm in the dark and I don't have my phone.
And it's not even charging.
And it's not even charging.
In the comments for YouTube, Fereno Gibran, who's been great in the comments throughout the last couple of days, wants to know, did you have any meh moments?
Meh moments.
Something you're like, well, that's cool.
I feel like a lot of the bigger brands were less interested in putting out new products and more interested in finally tying together their products, which is a good trend. I'm glad that we're doing that. The things that we've talked about, smart home products, these things should be talking to each other, and finally delivering on that promise is great. But I also like seeing new stuff, and I feel like there was less emphasis on putting out new products and more emphasis on connecting them. So it's both a good and a bad thing.
Well, I know we gave Sony an award, but I think their press conference for me was actually a big meh. They undersold this thing. They barely mentioned it in their press conference. We saw it later in the booth and were blown away by it, but they actually kind of skimmed over it when they were talking at the very opening of the show about all their different technologies. They showed a bunch of things that they shot with their cameras, which was cool, but I think they actually shorted themselves a little bit at that point and skipped some of their coolest stuff.
Yeah, right. That's so fascinating that the thing that you liked the most, they didn't really support it themselves.
No, they did not make a big deal out of that TV.
Well, there you go. We are answering those questions that you're getting in live on YouTube and on Facebook. I am on digitaltrends.com/CES, and right there is the best of CES 2018. Some of the winners look pretty cool. We've got headphones. We've got the Hyundai Nexo fuel cell for the SUV. The laptop information there. Even L'Oreal getting a mention with the UV Sense monitors.
That's a pretty cool product.
There's so much tech out there. Yeah, it monitors the UV rays like when you're running, so you actually know what kind of skin damage you're getting.
A little disc that sits on your fingernail.
Oh, there it is.
Crazy
That's so
technology.
Cool. I definitely recommend heading over to that website, digitaltrends.com/CES, to get all that information. Guys, thank you so much for joining me to talk the top tech awards and bringing the Cyberstag itself right here.
Ta-da!
We've actually got mobile chat coming up after this, a big roundup of what we saw in the mobile division of CES. So that'll be coming up right after this.